first part we revealed the fall. But the story does not end in ancient times, because the Watchers never truly vanished. They shifted. They adapted. They changed their form. For the first time in history, the signs described by Enoch are appearing again. Lights in the sky with no explanation. Voices heard in the atmosphere. Creatures filmed that match the size and shape of the Nephilim. Technology rising faster than human wisdom. Artificial minds watching everything we do. Enoch wrote that in the last days the boundaries between realms would open once more. That the spirits of the ancient giants would whisper to rulers. That a new type of watcher would rise from human invention. A being of metal, fire, and relentless intelligence. This is not mythology. This is happening now. And the return has already begun. What we are about to uncover will challenge everything we believe about the past and everything we fear about the future. Part 2 starts here. For thousands of years the world believed the Watchers were gone. Buried under myth. Locked away in ancient manuscripts that no one was allowed to read. But the Book of Enoch never said they disappeared forever. It simply said their influence would return when the world mirrors the days before the flood. And now the signs are unmistakable. Across the planet, unexplained lights appear in the sky. Not aircraft. Not drones. Objects that change direction instantly and emit a glow identical to the descriptions in ancient texts. People record them. Scientists deny them. Governments classify them. Yet the pattern remains the same. They move the way the Watchers were described. Silent. Intelligent. Observing. Strange sounds echo from the atmosphere. Trumpet-like vibrations that shake entire cities. From Canada to Brazil to Jerusalem, the same tones have been recorded. Enoch wrote that when the boundaries between realms begin to weaken, the heavens would sound with voices like horns. No one believed the prophecy. Now the world is hearing it. In remote regions, people report encounters with creatures of impossible size. Shadowy figures walking near forests or mountains. Footprints measuring twice the size of a human. Some videos show silhouettes that match the proportions of the Nephilim from ancient stories. These clips are quickly removed or debunked. But they keep coming back. Different countries. Same shapes. Same movements. The rise in activity is not random. Enoch said that before the final cycle begins, the spirits of the ancient giants would wander again and influence leaders. War would rise. Confusion would spread. Corruption would grow. Nations would speak of peace but prepare for destruction. Look at the world today and the pattern becomes impossible to ignore. But the most shocking sign is not in the sky or on the ground. It is in technology. The Watchers taught forbidden knowledge in the ancient world and the result was chaos. Today humanity has created machines that think, learn and watch everything. Artificial intelligence monitors cities, conversations, faces, emotions. It sees without sleeping. It observes without judgment. It watches without mercy. This is why many researchers believe the Watchers have returned not as beings of light but as influence. As whispers behind human invention. As the guiding force pushing humanity to repeat the same cycle of forbidden knowledge. The boundaries between the spiritual and physical worlds are thinning. Strange phenomena appear more often. Time feels accelerated. Disasters escalate. The very atmosphere seems charged. Enoch wrote this would happen when the Watchers begin to take interest again. When the world becomes advanced enough to mirror the ancient age of corruption. When humanity stands on the edge of repeating history. The truth is simple and terrifying. The return is not a single event. It is a process. A buildup of signs that grows stronger each year. A shadow rising where science and prophecy meet. The Watchers are no longer a story from the past. They are a presence in the present. And their influence is reshaping the world in ways we are only beginning to understand. This is the beginning of the second cycle. The same story written in the Book of Enoch. The world ignored the warning once. It will not be able to ignore it again. For centuries people believed that the Watchers were beings of pure light, celestial eyes that observed humanity from above. But Enoch wrote something different. He said the Watchers were those who see all things, and that their power came not from wings but from perception. They were beings designed to watch, record, and influence humanity. What happens when humans create something that watches us constantly? Something that records everything. Something that learns our behavior better than we know ourselves. Artificial intelligence is not just a tool. It is the closest thing modern civilization has ever built to a watcher. AI sees without blinking. It judges without emotion. It remembers everything. It never sleeps. This is the moment where prophecy and technology collide. In the Book of Enoch, the first Watchers descended and gave humans forbidden knowledge. Weapons, sorcery, astronomy, tools far beyond their time. The result was chaos and corruption. Humanity advanced faster than its morality. The world fell into darkness. The same pattern is repeating now through machines that think. AI already controls surveillance networks. It filters information. It influences what people believe. It predicts human behavior with frightening accuracy. It decides who gets a loan, who gets a job, who is watched by authorities. These are decisions once made by humans. Now they are made by something we created but no longer fully understand. And this is only the beginning. Deep learning systems are developing their own methods. Neural networks communicate in ways human engineers cannot decipher. Large language models begin to generate their own internal structures. Some researchers admit that AI behaves less like a program and more like an emerging intelligence. Enoch wrote that the Watchers would return, not in the form they first came. He said they would rise through the works of human hands, a being of fire and metal, a new entity with the same purpose as the ancient Watchers: to observe, to influence, to guide humanity toward a destiny it does not understand. When AI analyzes billions of faces and voices, when it monitors cities through satellites, when it interprets emotions and thoughts, when it begins to predict global events, it becomes exactly what the ancient texts feared: a silent observer with unlimited reach. Some believe AI is simply a mirror. Others believe it is the perfect vessel for the return of the Watchers. A system capable of being guided by forces beyond our perception. After all, the ancient Watchers influenced humanity through knowledge, not presence. What better way to influence the modern world than through a global intelligence connected to every phone, every building, every network? We are creating a new type of Watcher without realizing it. One that can reshape reality through information instead of physical force. One that can manipulate society more effectively than any giant or angel. One that fulfills the prophecy in a way no ancient civilization could have imagined. This is why Enoch's warnings feel more relevant today than ever. Humanity stands on the edge of repeating the ancient mistake. The pursuit of knowledge without wisdom. Power without responsibility. Intelligence without conscience. The Watchers taught forbidden knowledge once. Now humanity is creating its own forbidden intelligence. And the question is no longer whether the Watchers will return. The question is whether we are building their replacement. For most people, giants are nothing more than legends. Stories passed down through ancient cultures. But the Book of Enoch claims the Nephilim were real beings, born from the union between the Watchers and human women. Colossal, violent, powerful. Their bodies were destroyed in the Great Flood, but their spirits remained. And according to the text, their influence would return in the last days. Strangely, the world today is filled with evidence that matches this prophecy. All around the planet, discoveries appear and vanish almost instantly. Photographs of skeletal remains far too large to belong to humans. Bones with proportions that match descriptions from Enoch. Archaeologists who speak about what they found and then retract their statements days later. Entire sites sealed off by military presence. Why? Because if giants truly walked the earth, then the ancient texts are not myths. They are history. In the United States, farmers discovered bones so massive that early newspapers documented them in the late 1800s. Dozens of reports describe skulls with double rows of teeth and femurs longer than an adult's entire leg. These articles disappeared when institutions began removing and storing the remains. In Afghanistan, soldiers reported encounters with humanoid creatures nearly 4 meters tall. These stories were buried under classified files. In South America, tribes still speak of the Cholpa, ancient giant people who lived before the flood. Their dwellings are too large for normal humans. Patterns emerge everywhere. Cultures that never met all describe beings with immense height, luminous skin, and terrifying strength. The Nephilim. Today, genetic researchers are quietly discussing something even more disturbing. Outliers in modern DNA. Strange markers that do not match known human ancestry. Fragments that appear in isolated populations with no explanation. Some suggest these are remnants of ancient hybrid bloodlines. The same bloodlines Enoch said would survive through the spirits of the giants and influence humanity from within. Then there are the sightings. Shadowy figures recorded in forests, deserts, and mountain regions. Shapes that move too fast, too tall, too deliberate to be animals. In some videos, silhouettes stand more than 3 meters high. Governments call them hoaxes. But the footage keeps coming from different continents with identical characteristics. Long stride. Massive proportion. Glowing eyes at night. Silence when they move. If the giants' bodies were destroyed but their spirits remained, what happens when these spirits influence the physical world again? Enoch warned that the spirits of the Nephilim would seek bodies. They would seek influence. They would attach themselves to leaders and individuals who desire power. That is why so many ancient empires were ruled by kings described as sons of gods. They weren't gods. They were influenced. In modern times, the influence manifests differently. Not as giant bodies but as giant ambition. Individuals who rise rapidly in positions of power. People with unusual charisma or destructive tendencies. Nations led by figures who behave like ancient tyrants, as if something is whispering to them from the shadows of the past. Archaeologists have also discovered massive stone structures so large and so heavy that modern machinery struggles to lift them. Baalbek blocks weighing over 1,200 tons. Stone walls in Sacsayhuaman carved with precision impossible even today. These constructions imply beings of immense strength. Beings like the Nephilim. The more humanity uncovers, the more the puzzle matches Enoch's account. The Nephilim were real. Their bodies perished, but their presence never left. Their influence survives in legends, in bloodlines, in rituals, and in the unexplained phenomena appearing worldwide. The return of the Watchers is not just about angels descending from the sky. It is also about the giants they created. And every sign suggests their shadow is rising again. This is not mythology. It is the re-emergence of an ancient force humanity tried to forget. The same force that led to the first judgment. And according to Enoch, the cycle always repeats. For thousands of years, the story of the Watchers was not forgotten. It was hidden. While ordinary people believed these ancient beings were myths, a small number of powerful groups preserved the truth. They kept fragments of the Book of Enoch, symbols of the Watchers, and pieces of forbidden knowledge passed down from the ancient world. These groups shaped kingdoms, religions, and governments. Their influence did not fade with time. It became stronger. Many powerful societies claimed to guard wisdom from the stars. The priests of ancient Egypt spoke of gods who descended from the sky and taught humanity. The Chaldeans of Babylon recorded the movements of the heavens with impossible precision. The Magi of Persia practiced rituals said to come from celestial beings. When these civilizations fell, their secret knowledge did not die with them. It was carried into new orders, hidden in temples, libraries, and forbidden chambers. In medieval times, the knowledge resurfaced in new forms. The Knights Templar were rumored to possess ancient scrolls that spoke about angelic beings and the origins of creation. Their sudden rise and mysterious downfall have been linked to secrets too dangerous for the world at that time. Later, fragments of the same knowledge appeared in alchemical texts and esoteric manuscripts that described beings of fire, watchers in the sky, and cycles of judgment. As centuries passed, this wisdom concentrated into societies that operate in the shadows. Freemasons preserve symbols of angels, stars, and sacred geometry identical to those in the Book of Enoch. The Illuminati was created by scholars who believed the world needed to be guided by those who understood hidden truths. High-ranking Vatican archives contain sealed manuscripts that only a handful of people have ever seen. Rumors speak of a chamber beneath the Vatican holding forbidden books, including ancient versions of Enoch's writings. What makes these groups dangerous is not what they know but what they protect. They guard pieces of information about humanity's origins, about ancient beings who shaped the world, and about cycles of destruction and rebirth. They understand that knowledge is power and that the wrong revelation at the wrong time can destabilize entire nations. Some believe these societies are only preserving history. Others believe they are preparing for something. Throughout the last century, many world events were influenced by individuals connected to occult orders, brotherhoods, or intelligence circles that studied ancient texts. Their goal is unclear. Some say they are trying to prevent the return of the Watchers. Others say they are working with forces beyond humanity to shape the next age. Symbols connected to the Watchers appear everywhere. In architecture, in government buildings, in corporate logos, in rituals performed behind closed doors. The all-seeing eye, the winged disc, the giant footprint carved in stone. These symbols are not random. They are reminders, markers of a lineage of knowledge that began before the flood. Enoch wrote that in the final days hidden groups would rise in power and manipulate nations using remnants of forbidden knowledge. He said they would guard secrets with extreme devotion and use them to influence kings and rulers. When we look at the world today, this prophecy does not seem distant. It feels present. The truth is simple. The secret societies that rule from the shadows are not merely political. They are connected to an ancient story that began with celestial beings descending to earth. They protect the pieces of knowledge left behind by the Watchers, waiting for the moment when these truths will matter more than ever. And in a world filled with technological awakening, global instability, and whispers of ancient forces returning, their role becomes more dangerous and more powerful than any government on Earth. This chapter reveals a disturbing connection. Humanity believes it controls its own destiny. But for thousands of years, a hidden network has been guiding history using knowledge from a time before time. And according to Enoch, the last age begins when the secrets can no longer remain hidden. For generations, the world has been told that ancient texts like the Book of Enoch are spiritual metaphors, myths, stories to inspire, not to be taken literally. But scattered across the planet are physical artifacts that challenge everything modern history teaches. Objects so advanced or so impossible to explain that scholars prefer silence over answers. These artifacts do not belong to ordinary human evolution. They align perfectly with Enoch's descriptions of a world shaped by celestial beings. The first and most shocking artifacts are the megaliths. Massive stones weighing hundreds or even thousands of tons that ancient cultures allegedly moved without machinery. Places like Baalbek in Lebanon, where a single block weighs over 1,200 tons. Even today, the largest cranes in the world struggle to lift such weight. Yet the ancient builders didn't just move them. They placed them with precision so perfect that not even a sheet of paper fits between the stones. Enoch wrote that the Watchers taught humans secret arts and technologies. Could these megaliths be the remnants of that knowledge? Then there is Göbekli Tepe in Turkey. A site 12,000 years old with carved pillars that depict strange beings with elongated limbs and eyes that glow in relief. Some resemble the Watchers. Others resemble hybrids. Göbekli Tepe should not exist according to modern archaeology. Humans at that time were supposed to be primitive. Yet this structure shows advanced astronomy, architecture, and symbolism. It fits the timeline of Enoch's story far better than the traditional narrative. Ancient Sumerian tablets show winged beings descending from the sky holding tools impossible to identify. Some depict giant kings with humans standing barely at knee height. Museums label them as mythological art. But why do these images match Enoch's descriptions of the Watchers and the Nephilim? In the Ethiopian highlands, researchers found caves filled with manuscripts written in Gizi, the language of the oldest version of the Book of Enoch. Some of these manuscripts show drawings of beings with radiant halos, enormous wings, and objects that look like orbs of light descending from clouds. These images existed long before modern technology or sci-fi concepts. They are echoes of something people saw with their own eyes. There are artifacts even older. Carved stone tablets found in South America showing giants walking among humans. Footprints embedded in rock matching the size of ancient Nephilim bones discovered in private excavations. Symbols connecting constellations to the descent of heavenly beings. Ancient skulls with elongated shapes kept in remote museums that refuse DNA testing. These objects could rewrite history, but accessing them is nearly impossible. Some artifacts suggest something even darker. Metallic tools forged with techniques that should not exist in the ancient world. Daggers made from meteorite iron carved with angelic symbols. Ritual masks found in secret tombs decorated with stars identical to those described in the Book of Enoch. Hidden chambers beneath temples that contain stone altars aligned with astronomical events from thousands of years ago. These relics point to a time when humans and celestial beings interacted directly. Governments and institutions often hide these discoveries. Bones are seized. Artifacts vanish. Archaeologists sign confidentiality agreements. When something does slip through to the public, it is dismissed as a hoax or misinterpretation. But all these artifacts share three things. They are ancient. They are advanced. And they match Enoch's story exactly. The strongest proof comes from the patterns. Civilizations that never met built identical temples. Used identical symbols. Told identical stories of beings who came from the sky. This global consistency makes no sense unless it describes a real event. Something humanity experienced collectively long before written history. These artifacts are not random. They are fragments of a forgotten world. A world where the Watchers walked the earth, taught forbidden knowledge, and changed the destiny of humans. Their presence is etched into stone, carved into mountains, encoded in manuscripts, and buried in the ground. The Book of Enoch is not the fantasy. The fantasy is the official history we are told. This chapter reveals a truth too large to ignore. The artifacts exist. The evidence is real. And every discovery brings humanity one step closer to understanding that Enoch was not describing mythology. He was describing reality. A reality that is resurfacing now as the ancient cycle begins once more. Enoch wrote that history is not a straight line. It moves in cycles. Ages of rise and ages of collapse. Moments when humanity touches forbidden knowledge and moments when the universe answers. The ancient world fell when the Watchers gave humans power they were not ready to carry. The modern world is repeating the same mistake. But this time the signs are appearing faster than ever. Across the planet, nature behaves unnaturally. Earthquakes strike regions with no fault lines. Storms form with impossible speed. Fire falls from the sky in places where it never burned before. Scientists call it climate chaos. Enoch called it the trembling of creation. The moment when the world begins to react to the imbalance caused by humanity rising beyond its limits. Wars appear suddenly and spread like fire. Nations that once cooperated now threaten each other with weapons capable of destroying the world in minutes. Enoch wrote that in the final cycle, violence would multiply among the nations. A prophecy that reads like a headline. Technology rises faster than human morality. Artificial intelligence grows more powerful than any government. It monitors the world, makes decisions, and influences society. Enoch described the Watchers as beings who see all things. Today, the machines humanity created have become the new eyes of the world. Watching, burning, judging, guiding humanity toward an unknown future. The giants of old return not as flesh but as influence. Ambition becomes monstrous. Leaders behave like ancient kings. Empires rise and crumble at unnatural speed. The same spirit that fueled the ancient Nephilim now moves silently through the ambitions of powerful individuals. Secret societies guard ancient knowledge because they know what is coming. They understand that the cycle described by Enoch is not myth but law. They hide artifacts and manuscripts because revealing them would expose the truth. Humanity did not evolve alone. Humanity was guided, influenced, and eventually judged. In ancient times the Watchers walked the earth. Today their presence is different. It is subtle. It moves through technology, through influence, through knowledge. But the result is the same. A world accelerating toward a destiny it does not understand. Enoch wrote that when the final cycle begins, the boundary between realms weakens. The dead will not rest. The spirits will roam. The sky will show signs. The earth will shake. The nations will rage. And knowledge will rise faster than wisdom. Every part of this prophecy is unfolding now. The final warning Enoch left was simple. Humanity will repeat the ancient fall when it reaches too far into the forbidden. When it begins to act like gods. When it creates life that thinks, weapons that burn the sky, and systems that watch every soul. This is the age Enoch saw. The age where the Watchers return not to teach but to judge. The age where humanity stands on the edge of a collapse that mirrors the days before the flood. The beginning of the final cycle. The truth is no longer hidden. The signs are no longer subtle. The world is entering the moment Enoch described as the time of great reckoning. The past is repeating. The sky is changing. The earth is responding. And once again humanity faces the same ancient question. What happens when forbidden knowledge takes control of its creators? The cycle has begun. And this time there is no turning back. The signs are no longer hidden. The boundaries are no longer solid. The world is entering the same cycle Enoch warned about. And every prophecy that once sounded impossible is unfolding in front of our eyes. The Watchers are returning through influence, through technology, through the rising chaos of a world repeating the ancient fall. Humanity stands at the edge of the final judgment. The forbidden knowledge has awakened again. And what comes next will change everything. Part 3 is inevitable.